Hi, this is Manish Sharma. I welcome you all in Startup Story B2B Connect, presented by App Ceiling, co-presented by Design and Construct, and powered by Bharat Clean. It's a nationwide series of events which gives an opportunity to growing and enthusiastic entrepreneurs to expand their networks and meet new people and take their ventures to new heights. To talk about more, let's take a sneak peek inside. I'd like to grab all of your attention, please. Thank you so much. People with passion are always excited. Are you excited? Yes or no? Yes, you're getting an opportunity to meet people for networking. And if you're not passionate and excited enough to be here, then it's a waste. So everybody, are you excited? Everybody, are you excited? Are you excited? How's the Josh? How's the Josh? Yes, this is how we commence any event. This is how we commence life. This is how we should be passionate and excited about beginning something. So ladies and gentlemen, for beginning something, we always use network. We always need network. That is where Startup Story comes in the picture. So ladies and gentlemen, Startup Story is a nationwide series of events which gives platform to the growing and enthusiastic entrepreneurs like you, so that you can expand your network and which can help you grow your venture and expand your venture further. So ladies and gentlemen, to give more insights about Startup Story, can we have a look at this screen for a video? So let me just give you a little brief about Startup Story. It's a platform which shares stories of success of various entrepreneurs. Jitne bhi entrepreneurs aate hain, most of the times, you don't get any credit until you become somebody. Yes or no? Yes? So Startup Story actually does that. They give you that leverage. They give you that credit when you're rising. When you're nobody, they give your story a boost. So ladies and gentlemen, let's have a huge round of applause for Startup Story first. Everybody. So B2B Connect is all about networking, but Startup Story, as the name suggests itself, it's all about stories. Stories of yourself, stories of all the entrepreneurs. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna begin this session with a small story. A story about a 15 years old guy who wanted to study and who wanted to make it big, but he did not have any sources. कोई source नहीं थे. You know, as usual, हमारी हिंदी फिल्म के पुराने हीरो की तरह, जिसके पास में माँ है, पिता है, पर खाने को रोटी नहीं है, रहने के लिए छत नहीं है, electricity नहीं है, but still he wanted to make it big. He always wanted to study, make it big, reach to the TV and do something. He just wanted to, be visible in TV somehow. So ladies and gentlemen, this story is about a boy जो पढ़ना चाहता था, but उसके पास sources नहीं थे, उसके पास electricity नहीं थी, but उसके बावजूद he actually started doing something. जब एक बार उनके पिता ने कहा कि बेटा मेरे पास पढ़ाने के लिए पैसे नहीं है, so he took up the charge in the age of 15 years of his own life and he started doing and finding jobs. So ladies and gentlemen, the first job he started doing was car cleaning. Car cleaning was his first job. उसके बाद एक फैक्ट्री में एसिड से कुछ चीजें निकालने की job. And started off from there, and then in events, then adventure sport instructor, and then somehow he got himself enrolled in Delhi University's one of the best colleges, Kirodi Mal. And from there, he started his journey of events. And in 2004, it was the breakthrough for that guy when he was chosen for some TV channel's interview. So the life changed upside down because that is what he was striving for. So ladies and gentlemen, from there, He was interviews and instantly, because 2004 में अगर आपको याद होगा कोई 24/7 न्यूज चैनल्स नहीं हुआ करते थे. 2004 में किसी टीवी चैनल पे आना वाज अ बिग बूम. सो उसके बाद इंस्टेंट फेम मिला और उसके बाद there was no look back, ladies and gentlemen, and I want to introduce that guy to you. So ladies and gentlemen, that guy for you is here. That's me, ladies and gentlemen, Manish Sharma, your host of this evening. So now I'm a 3 times award winning best anchor. And ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long journey till here, but yes, it was worth it. It was worth it. जब एक टाइम का खाना ना होने से आपके पास सब फैसिलिटीज होती है, जहां पे आप जाना चाहते हैं वहां पे आप पहुंच जाते हैं, बट उससे बीच की जो जर्नी होती है, nobody is ready to tell that journey until somebody asks you, until somebody you become somebody. So that's where Startup Story comes in the picture. Ladies and gentlemen, huge round of applause for Startup Story once again. With your permission, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to begin this session. And to start off this session, I'd like to call upon Mr. Aditya Arora, and he's called the FAR guy. That's interesting. So, ladies and gentlemen, he's a CEO of FAR Networks. Mr. Aditya is also an angel investor, Padma Shri nominee, parliamentary awardee, TEDx speaker, and he's going to give you the insights of how the startup market is evolving and things to be kept in mind while reaching out to investors. So, ladies and gentlemen, with your thunderous round of applause, please welcome Mr. Aditya Arora.
Thank you so much, Manish, for that introduction. Great to see that you've had an entrepreneurial journey yourself. So, congratulations to you for that. And congratulations to Animesh, Anil, and the entire team of Startup Story for doing this and inviting. Always a pleasure to meet entrepreneurs. थक गए थे यार Zoom पे देख देख के. Am I audible? Am I audible? अब तो I think there's no risk of saying that am I audible, or is the internet stable? And you, like, entrepreneurship is like that, as in when the ecosystem is booming, you would want to meet entrepreneurs in person, right? You can't do it just digitally. When we are saying that the last 2 years the entrepreneurship ecosystem in India has changed massively, you would want to meet those people who are changing that face in person. At FARD, of course, I'll give a quick introduction. So we are investing in early stage startups. Uh, we have evolved from pandemic only. November 2019 is when we formally started making investments as a network. And in the last about 2 years of our journey, we've invested in close to about 52 companies and many more startups that we are right now evaluating for fundraise. So it's been quite a journey, because if you look at the ecosystem before 2019 or 18, right? Ecosystem was evolving. You could see the early signs, right? But still there was a bit of a friction in early stage capital, right? The investors were a bit limited, right? The time to close a deal was too much, and the online sources of investing were not. Right now you hear the angel list of the world, right? Right now you hear the, of course, Let's Venture, which has been for so many years, but a lot of new age investment platforms as well, which are coming up, which are opening up that space, that friction, for a lot of early stage investors to invest in some exciting startups. And that has happened because of pandemic, because there has been an innovation shift where people have realized that अरे check coffee ना पीने से भी मिल जाता है. You don't always need to go for coffee, right? It has made an impact that so much of our time, those 24 hours that we were utilizing in traveling and all that, that could be compact size, that could be miniaturized into that 40-45 minutes meeting, and something productive could come out of it as well. If I talk about statistics last year, both from the startups and investor side, of course, we've raised close to 40 billion plus last year itself only. And one fact that I was looking for was that close to about 1200 odd new early age investors, first time angel investors, invested first time in startups. That is the fact, that is one of the facts that should be highlighted. If I look at from 2010 or 11, close to just about 40, 50 people used to invest in a year in some new exciting early stage transactions. But last year, close to 1,200 investors have invested for the first time. That has beaten the records if we add up the numbers of 2017, 18, and 19 together. So market is evolving from both the ends. Both the ends. When we started coming up into the scene, they were just Startup India scheme was coming up in 2018. Startups were getting registered under DPIIT. Just about 10,000 startups were there. And I remember we were talking to the government, been actively working a lot with the government as well to facilitate some of these investments. We're talking about how to get startups to register more, how to get more companies to come up, because they were just about hardly about 8,000, 9,000 companies that were come up. DPIT had announced a program and even announced tax holidays, but just about 6, 7 months into the scheme, we're just about 9,000 startups. And then you're talking about how to make this up. We even involved Niti Aayog, so we're discussing with Amitabh Kant as well on how we can bolster this registrations more. And one thing that we realized is, of course, one part of the problem has to come from the investors, which is there, of course. Where there is a demand problem, there needs to be a supply problem to solve that problem. Right? So investment capital has to come up. New age funds have to come up. Micro VCs have to come up. In fact, this term micro VC, you know the definition right now, but 3 years back, if you would have heard a term called as micro VC, you were like, what is this here? There's just an angel investor. There's just a family officer. There's just a VC who gives them bigger check. 2-3 mil ka check deta hai. There's nothing called as micro VC. But in fact, yeah, that is another evolution that has come up where 2-3 million ke check to thodo 2-3 million ke funds are rahe hain, right? People are investing out of a $3 million fund in India, right? So investor side, we were like that part would automatically get covered. Where of course, जैसे startups आते रहेंगे, we'll try to incentivize VCs as well with maybe a bit of taxation breaks for them as well. Unfortunately, that is still in the progress. That still hasn't happened. But the second side that has happened is the promotion of startups in India. In 2018, we had this thought that what if startups become mainstream? What are the things we require for them to become mainstream? Where startup is not looked at as an outside universal term, right? It's looked at something which is happening inside the corridors of innovation in our own country. That is when we sort of started discussing that what if a TV show comes up someday? What if rather than corporate offsites, startups go to certain locations and we have investors coming together in the form of more internal demo days, more accelerators which are coming up who could invest? What if under the innovation of Atal Innovation Mission, of course, that happened, what if we could bring these centers of innovations or these centers of changes where some of these startups could get early stage mentoring and then capital to support it and take it to the next level? After, of course, 3-4 years later, that innovation is happening, right? Startups are now becoming mainstream. At 9 p.m. for the last 2-3 months, if you look at, you're not logging into a Saas Bahu episode. You're logging into a show where Saas Bahu are pitching together. Multiple shows, as in, of course, Shark Tank is one, but apart from that as well, Horses Table, even I think Dr. Vivek Bindra started one show as well. Multiple shows have come. And now startups, the question that are they mainstream? They're already mainstream now. Now is not the challenge where you have to explain what startup is. So yes, startups are booming up. Close to about 75,000, 80,000 plus startups are now registered. We've seen an 8 times increase in the last 2-3 years. Those are just registered startups we're talking about. In terms of capital, I've already told you that innovation is happening. So that covers the landscape, but I like to end with this segment where we talk about some more challenges because there are a lot of startups here. How many of you have a startup of your own here in the room? Yeah, most of us. And by the way, how many of you are actively investing in early stage startups? Yep. So we have both sides of the spectrum here. But for startups, since of course startups are more challenges that we also think that startups could sort of improve on so that this ecosystem could become much more mature. I'll keep it short, just 5 points because I know we've run out of time and we have a lot of speakers. 5 points. I think first point is, right now if an entrepreneur says that capital is not available in the market, I'll cut the call right away. That's not true. Capital is available, right? It's not that capital has gone out of the market, right? So capital is available, but again, good capital changes good innovation, right? So that is one thing. Now, a second corollary, which is the second point, is just an opposite of it. Capital is much more available now. So now the challenge is it's just not about the capital. It's about the growth aspect that comes with capital. In at FAD again, we say a very great quote, and I think I coined this up that startup funding is the bribe we pay to startup founders in order to allow them to work with us. So this is the strategy aspect or the synergy aspect that you are looking for. It's not just capital. Multiple startups again have come up which have raised billions of dollars in capital but have shut shop a couple of months down the line. Would abstain from taking names, but again, it's time and again proving that capital is just not the final solution that we are looking for. We're looking for much solutions much beyond capital. That's second. So look for investors again who could also invest in who could also invest their time and money in order to take you to the next level. That's again a very important thing. The second point is that it's a bull market where, of course, valuations are rising. Any startup which comes and sort of to us today. In fact, we're discussing with Sadhak, who's from also from my team, that if they come up and ask that we have a valuation of less than $1 million, we ask, we generally check the deck twice कि valuation तो सही लिखी है कि नहीं लिखी, because आजकल $1 million की से की valuation से तो कम कोई मांगता ही नहीं. Startup even at a seed stage are raising valuations at 3-4 mil, even more. So valuation, again, I have a different opinion on that, where I think that agar long term mein company is becoming a unicorn, what is the valuation at an early stage mattering then? What is matters कि आपने 3 mil पे करे या 4 mil पे करे? If a company is becoming a unicorn, how does it matter? Right? So again, when you are going ahead and raising money from investors, don't be a lot finicky on valuation, right? Again, don't make valuation as just the only entry barrier. It's coming from, again, a very heart to heart advice to the founder. Third point is it's not just about fancy terms now. Investors have also started becoming much more wise in their decisions. Deal flow, every investor has seen an increase in the last 2 years. Evaluation, again, is slowly and steadily becoming strong as well. So, whenever you are pitching, don't just go by fancy fundamentals or fancy words and jargons. They worked a lot in early 2015, 2014. But sadly, this is 2022 now, where investors have much more data available, publicly data available to cross verify and fact check their data. Right? So be very honest and transparent and focus on, again, creating a long, sustainable, value adding business. Don't just focus on how we'll make this a overnight success. Nothing is an overnight success in today's world. That is the third point. Fourth point is, this is also a very, very important point. In the way that an investor does a due diligence on you, founders also have a right to do a due diligence on the investor. Right? Know your investor before you are pitching to them. And especially in online meeting, that has happened a lot, where 45 minutes a Zoom call has happened. Founder says we are raising 150K. The VC is saying हम तो 2 mil से कम डालते ही नहीं. 45 minutes the call has happened. Multiple references I can give you from daily life. This is what we do. Multiple times it has happened. Or a founder has said at the end of the call, we haven't even launched. The VC says we don't invest at pre-revenue or pre-launch. Know your investor, who you're pitching in front. So that is again a very, very important thing. Some of the startups, it surprises me that they don't even study the portfolio of the investor before pitching. Sometimes there are direct conflict portfolio companies, right? Sometimes there are companies where a VC is not even an investor in that space. For example, if you're pitching in gaming, the VC does not look at gaming, right? So no, it's very, very important that you do the diligence before that, right? So that's the 4th point. And fifth is, this is also a point that sort of started to realize now, is that the journey just does not stop at you raising capital. The journey actually begins from that point. Startup investments, the way they are looked at, it's not just a big celebration or a PR event. It's a responsibility that way. That you've raised capital. Now you have to work on that and make sure that that capital manifolds for you and the investor together. You both make money in this. It's not just the investor, but you as well, right? So the fifth point is that be very transparent with your investors in even after the deal is done. Right? Make sure that you are available in terms of course, um, any strategic discussion that may happen. Make sure you're sharing your updates on time, your MIS, your other portfolio updates, other business updates on time. Very, very important. Because in today's time, where competition has increased quite a lot, funding is not just the only element which would tell who is the winner or who is the loser. The element which would tell is who is taking that right steps of growth, how sooner or how later. That would be the deciding factor. In a bull run, this Warren Buffett always has a quote that in a bear run, everyone blames the economy. In a bull run, everyone quotes Warren Buffett. So always look at this is a bull run. So always look at the space from a point of view where you and the investor are working together in that journey ship. It's very, very important again. So yes, those are my tidbits around early stage investing. I could go on and on around that because I passionately sort of look at this space. But any questions, happy to take. I think we have, Nimesh told me we can take about a couple of questions, right? 2, 3 questions we can take. Perfect. So I'm happy to take a couple of questions that are there. Yeah, that's it from my side.
If you ask me, like people ask me pitch and all, so I have big dreams, I have big like thought okay, this can be so fast. So but there are steps. There can be first one step, second step, third step. So is some kind of model coming from the investor side where people who have actually proved in the business and all, they want to come in as a platform. So if I say I have done a lot of business, I have earned a lot of money, but platform I want to create now. And for platform, I am finding challenge. It is the fact. So we are not able to create the platform where I need a mentor or maybe a investor kind of person who can help me to build a platform for that kind
So
of model.
what's exactly your question? As in, didn't get
So
it.
basically, what is happening now in like if you say startup investor, now there are pitch, there are kind of people are showing they have done, what they want to do, what is the business model and all. So what is the problem we are facing? We have done business around the problem. We know how to do it, but to scale it as a platform, we have done in bits and pieces. So as a platform, I understand if I can do it, it can be a big. But being like me and my wife is co-founder, and we are always like cash flow issues. We are working, earning money,
So question is
self-funded.
that you want to build a platform, but investor is.
So we don't have investor, and that is the problem we have. We do we.
So I think it's a very specific question. So what we can do
Yeah.
is maybe take it offline because this I'll spend
Because
more time on your business. What kind of a platform you're
no,
also
no,
trying
but
to create?
my question is, this is one of the innovation. So I am asking generally, not about
Sure,
me.
sure.
So this can be one of the innovation where people have earned the money in the same domain. People have know the business, they know the know how. Now they want to build a platform.
Yeah.
So investors can come on board, and maybe they don't invest 1 million, maybe they invest 20 lakh, 30 lakh, and grow with the founder. So this is my question or maybe suggestion. You can say
Sure.
this can be one of the innovation in the this problem I personally facing.
So that happens, right? So
Yeah.
when we
Thank
talk
you.
about that happens. When we talk about a pre-seed stage, that is what it is, right? It's just a company starting with fundamentals, trying to build out a product which is an MVP. And when you go into a seed stage, of course, you build that with investors' money and support. So yeah, that happens. We have time for one more question.
Is what do you think is the right time to go to a VC? Like when does a startup approach a VC or is ready for a funding?
Got it.
Thank you.
Uh, Thank you so much. So again, see, there's no one right size fits all, because there's one thing that we are saying, that angel investors are now becoming VCs and VCs are now becoming angel investors. So VCs are coming in early. Even Tiger, if you looked at it, recently announced that they'll start investing at a early stage. In fact, one data set I'll another give you. I love reading data, and in fact, today I was reading this book on early stage angel investing by Mohammed Mustafa, who's the ex-head of SIDBI. So he wrote that close to in 2019, about 138 deals which happened, about 50% of them didn't have an angel investor. They just raised from a VC, right? So uh, there's no right time to approach a VC. But I think let me explain you with this story. And this is something that I posted on social media as well, which got kind of viral. The story of fundraising, right? Why is it called seed capital? Is because once you're planting a seed, you always put that in ground and you nurture that, right? That is the stage of the company you are in. It's a seed stage. You are just nurturing some of these right values and notions, hoping that they would become big one day. Then it becomes a small sapling first. It does not grow into a tree, right? So within that sapling, now when you nurture that sapling, you see the success coming out of the ground, right? You see the tangibility, right? That is when you want to put in more capital efforts, seeing that this is something which works, right? And I want to grow that multiple folds. That whole nurturing of that sapling is what I called as a pre-series A capital, where you're getting that early success that it may become a big tree. It's a small sapling today. Once you put more water, more efforts into that sapling, you see that becoming a small plant. That is where you can see that it can become a good tree. Again, there's no surety. It can become a good tree. Within that small sapling is what I call as a series A capital, where you have an early level of validation that this works, right? I have revenue to support it. I have users to support it. I have tech to support it. I have growth to support it. I have validation to support it, right? I have stickiness. That is when you want to replicate that whole plant and then become a tree, right? And once it becomes a tree, again, there is a whole analogy, pre-series A capital and everything, because once it becomes a tree, everyone can reap fruits from it, right? That is when a company goes public. So the right time to approach a VC is once you have an early level of success. Once you see that sapling is on the ground and you can see some level of validation happening on it. It gives you two advantages. One is it gives you certain confidence in yourself as well to pitch. A lot of times I see founders approaching VCs too prematurely and they even themselves don't have the confidence on the pitch. Remember, a VC needs just one reason to push you out. You need 1,000 reasons to stay in the room, right? So make sure that the one chance you are getting, right, should be very, very linear. It happens a lot. You pitch to a VC, even the VC has transitioned out. But sometimes they have a process where they take in the whole diligence of a deal and they get to say that they've already pitched. Ye to already pitch kar chuke and we have passed. So one is when approach at the right time. Second is the advantage it gives you, advantage of valuation. The delay you do in your VC approach, or let's say the additional growth you get in that time, gives you a better edge on the valuation negotiation. The premature, of course, that you don't have a lot of points to justify the valuation that you are trying to raise in. So delay the bit of the time that you are, but of course, constantly be in touch with the VCs, right? It's not that don't spend time with the VCs. Be in touch with them. Do once a quarter call with them, right? Update them of your progress. You have every right to do so. But approach it once that sapling comes out of the ground, or once you have that early level of proof of the pudding or the concept, so that you have better things to do. So yeah, that's I think it from my side. Thank you. You've been a lovely audience. All the best.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aditya Arora. And the FAR guy himself, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for the knowledgeable session, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Mr. Aditya Arora once again. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, smart and neat presentation of a brand is very, very important thing to impress the customers. And I'm really liking the guys who are wearing their brands, their t-shirts, right? Creek. This is the right way to do it. You wear your brand. The visibility is important. But I'm not the one who is going to talk about this, by the way. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the next session. And in today's world, we know the data is the power. All the major companies are rolling the world with power of data, but as with great power comes great responsibilities. With huge data comes the threat of cyber attacks, and a lot of apps worldwide suffer from cyber attacks. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you Mr. Adarsh Abhinay, who is Director of Growth and Strategy, and Mr. Govindraj Basatwar, Head of Global Business at Inca Networks, to present us a unique solution of app sealing. And ladies and gentlemen, app sealing is the prime sponsor of B2B Connect. Can we have a huge round of applause, everybody, for app sealing?
Thank you very much, Animesh and team. Thank you very much giving us this opportunity. So basically, AppSealing works with application security for your Android, iOS, Flutter, or React Native application security. So when you start your business, you handle your product, UI, UX, business strategies on, but sometimes the security is the area where you missed out somewhere. So what we provide is we provide a usage based pricing plan which we offer extremely affordable solution for the startup, and we have created a 3 months free trial, and we are offering a special credits to the startups who has having here. We are offering 3 months free credits who can use the solution. They can secure their apps like source code, anti-reverse engineering, hooking, and the tempering. There are lots of data security pain points are there which we can able to handle it, and you can able to understand after seeing the videos how the hacking and reverse engineering happening.
Hey, I'm John, and I'm a senior cybersecurity engineer. You might look at me and think I've been this stress-free, but it wasn't always this way. I used to use SDK security solution made by old-school companies to secure my mobile apps, but those solutions didn't integrate well with the tech my developers were using. Me and my team had to manually add the SDK to the apps, learn, and then infuse the security into my app code, which used to take weeks to months to release a fully secured version to end customers, and we just couldn't keep up. And because we took forever to integrate robust security and resolve issues with our application, our boss was unhappy and worried. We had to react faster. As headlines were telling the story, hundreds and thousands of critical customer information were stolen from mobile apps, allowing hackers to penetrate into corporate infrastructure and thereby breaching intellectual property. Our customers were having an awful experience. Even our victories were short-lived. Just last year, we had a hugely successful marketing campaign where our downloads increased by 30 times. And guess what? It was a disaster. We missed serious security loopholes with our applications, allowing hackers to manipulate our code, cheat, and hack critical customers' info. We lost hundreds of those new customers due to outdated security solutions that led to brand damage, lost customer trust, lost revenue, and faced government penalties. It was a nightmare. But then I found App Ceiling. Don't worry, I'm not going to feed you any marketing speech. App Ceiling gets it. They are the leading cloud-based SaaS security platform for mobile apps. Not some SDK or prime security solution posing as something robust and modern. App Ceiling makes it easy for me to proactively protect mobile apps against targeted attacks, allowing your applications to run securely, even on highly infected devices. And that too without any coding or app security expertise. And it's compatible with today's rapid development environment. App Ceiling runtime application self-protection features create multi-layered security for apps and secure your mobile app business from reverse engineering and illegal code tampering. It can even handle sophisticated attacks, thereby serving a safe environment for our customers. App Ceiling real-time threat analytics dashboard alerts and helps us investigate all the application data like attack vectors, hacking behaviors, device details, and performance metrics. We went from months of securing the apps to minutes. On top of that, we are spending 30% less on App Ceiling because we got rid of the traditional SDK solutions which needed human efforts, and we never had to worry about time and continuous security. That's why I became an engineer, not to waste my time on outdated security solutions that don't support and secure the apps from known and unknown threats. So get off your seat and check out App Ceiling and close the app security loops in minutes without any coding. You won't regret it. App Ceiling. Protect, detect, respond. Continuous intelligent security for modern apps.
That solution was needed because I remember once I was looted for a huge sum of rupees 200 by the cybercrime. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, jokes apart, moving on, as entrepreneurs and investors, we all aim to reach out to maximum audience, but many times we underestimate the power of digital media marketing, or we lack in gaining desired results from the campaign to provide us the solution. I would like to call upon, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Arbab Usmani, who is the founder of Upskill, which provides dynamic training to close this skill. Mr. Arbab on the stage, ladies and gentlemen. And please come in. So, ladies and gentlemen, before that, I'd like to tell you that kindly note down all your questions, and we're going to give you the networking time of 45 to 50 minutes. Note down all your questions and ask them in the networking session only. And of course, please put your phones on silent mode. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
तो थैंक यू अनिमेश, बहुत दिनों बाद लाइव ऑडियंस देखा है तो कुछ अलग सा फीलिंग है। जूम में कर के हालत ख़राब थी। टेडेक्स दे दिया जूम पे, मैस्कॉम में चला गया, जूम पे बोल लिया, हेड स्टार्ट में बोल लिया जूम पे। अब थोड़ी सी लाइव ऑडियंस देखा, थोड़ा सा जोश आ रहा है। सो माय नेम इज़ अरबाब उस्मानी एंड आई रन अ डिजिटल मार्केटिंग काइंड ऑफ प्रोग्राम टू टीच पीपल डिजिटल मार्केटिंग। जब मैंने 2017 में स्टार्ट किया था तो उस टाइम में कोई ऐसी नई चीज़ नहीं स्टार्ट कर दी थी कि कुछ ऐसी नया कोई इनोवेशन नहीं था। बट आइडिया ये था कि जो हमारे स्टार्टअप में जब भी हम हायर करने जाते हैं किसी लोगों को, तो उसमें अराउंड 100 लोगों या 50 लोगों का इंटरव्यू लेते हैं, शायद एक को हायर करते हो। तो ये स्किल गैप काफ़ी ज़्यादा है और ये हर एंटरप्रेन्योर का एक बहुत बड़ा पेन पॉइंट है। चूंकि मेरा लाइफ पूरा गुजरा था डिजिटल मार्केटिंग के अंदर में, इसलिए हमने डिजिटल मार्केटिंग से स्टार्ट की और हम लोगों ने 3 पॉइंट पे काम करना चालू किया। पहला पॉइंट, स्किल अप। एक ऐसा व्यक्ति जिसको स्किल अप करेंगे तो वो ज़्यादा अच्छा परफॉर्म करेगा, लेकिन उससे ज़्यादा बेटर कौन परफॉर्म करेगा? जिसके पास में एक ग्रोथ माइंडसेट हो, यानी कि प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग कैपेबिलिटी हो। तो हम लोगों ने सेकंड टर्म में चालू किया प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग कैपेबिलिटी, और तीसरा जो था वो था पावर ऑफ नेटवर्क, जो स्टार्टअप स्टोरी है। अगर कोई कहीं पे फेलियर होता तो वहाँ पे एक नेटवर्क बैकअप करने के लिए रहे, तो वहाँ पे हमने स्टार्ट किया। आज जो मैं बात करने वाला हूँ वो डिजिटल मीडिया के पावर के बारे में बात करने वाला हूँ। बाय द वे, यूएस में 60% स्पेंड जो है एडवर्टाइजमेंट का, वो अब होने लगा है डिजिटल के अंदर में, और इंडिया के अंदर में भी 23,000 करोड़ की ये पूरी इंडस्ट्री बन चुकी है डिजिटल, ओनली डिजिटल। तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा ग्रोथ हुआ स्पेशली पैंडेमिक के टाइम में, लेकिन इसमें बहुत सारे लोगों को बहुत सारी समझ नहीं है। उनको लगता है कि सिर्फ एड्स चला दिया और दैट स्पेंड कर दिया पैसा और ये चीज़ हो गया। मार्केटिंग इटसेल्फ इज नॉट ओनली अबाउट कि आप अपना अवेयरनेस फैला रहे हो, इट्स ऑल्सो अबाउट चेंजिंग द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ योर कस्टमर एज वेल। डिजिटल मीडिया का एडवांटेज ये है कि ये एक डेटा ड्रिवन मार्केटिंग है और इसके पास में दूसरा एडवांटेज है टेक्नोलॉजी का। टेक्नोलॉजी एंड डेटा ड्रिवन मार्केटिंग दोनों बहुत ही खतरनाक कॉम्बिनेशन। डेटा ड्रिवन मार्केटिंग में आप एग्जैक्टली टारगेट कर सकते हो, जैसा कि आप लोग सब जानते हो या आप लोग को आइडिया है उस बात का, लेकिन ये इससे ज्यादा डीपर जाता है। कहां पे डीपर जाता है? इसके लिए हमको समझना पड़ेगा दो तरह का मार्केट। मोस्ट ऑफ अस हियर आर फ्रॉम बी टू बी प्लेटफॉर्म, राइट? बी टू बी प्लेटफॉर्म में सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत क्या आती है? सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत इस बात की आती है कि अगर हम किसी को ऐड के लिए टारगेट कर रहे हैं तो हम किस तरह से टारगेट करें, क्या इंटरेस्ट डाले उसके अंदर में, किस चीज पर पकड़ना बहुत मुश्किल होता है, राइट? तो इसका सॉल्यूशन क्या है, क्या निकल सकता है? ये डिजिटल मीडिया के पास में इसका सॉल्यूशन है। देखिए, दो तरह की मार्केटिंग होती है पूरी दुनिया में। एक होता है पुश मार्केटिंग, एक होता है पुल मार्केटिंग। पुश मार्केटिंग मीन्स जब आप चीजों को पुश कर रहे हैं, जैसे कि फेसबुक एड्स, दैट इज पुश मार्केटिंग। यूट्यूब एड्स पुश मार्केटिंग, टीवी में एड्स आता है पुश मार्केटिंग, अखबार में जो आप देखते हो पुश मार्केटिंग, मैगजीन में, ऑटो में, हर जगह पुश मार्केटिंग है। और पुल मार्केटिंग, इसको सिंपली अगर एमबीए में पढ़ोगे तो बताते हैं कि जब कस्टमर तक आपका प्रोडक्ट पहुंचता है तो दैट इज पुश मार्केटिंग, और जब कस्टमर आपके प्रोडक्ट तक पहुंचेगा तो वो पुल मार्केटिंग। एकदम सिंपल सा इसका कॉन्सेप्ट है। लेकिन पुल मार्केटिंग बहुत ज्यादा गहरा है, बहुत ही ज्यादा गहरा, उसके बारे में कोई बात नहीं करता। पुल मार्केटिंग, जिसको आप बोलते हो वर्ड ऑफ माउथ भी बोलते हो। अब आप ऐसा समझिए कि अगर मुझे एक शू खरीदने हैं तो आज के टाइम में मेरे दिमाग में कौन सा आएगा? अमेजन आ सकता है, फ्लिपकार्ट आ सकता है, या आजियो आ सकता है। कोई भी एक वेबसाइट ऐसी है जो मेरे दिमाग में आता है, राइट? पहला इंपैक्ट हमारे दिमाग में, माइंड में बनता है। वो क्यों बनता है? क्या रीजन होता है उसका बनने का? अगर अमेजन बहुत सारा डिस्काउंट देता है, सर्विस बहुत अच्छी है जो मास ऑडियंस के लिए करता है, बट एट द सेम टाइम उसको देके अमेजन का पूरा जो गेम होता है वो पुल करने के, कि अगला अगर कोई 10 प्रोडक्ट अगर कोई सोचे तो अमेजन में जाके खरीदे और वहां से उसका बिक्री होता है, राइट? नाउ इसको करने के लिए आप क्या कर सकते हो? आप अपने एंड में क्या कर सकते हो? तो ऑफ कोर्स आपका प्रोडक्ट का जो कमिटमेंट है उस कमिटमेंट को पूरा कर सकते हो, बट इसके अलावा देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड यूनिक वैल्यू इफेक्ट। अब यूनिक वैल्यू इफेक्ट क्या होता है उसको थोड़ा समझते हैं। जैसे कि हम लोग, बहुत सारे लोग एप्पल और एंड्रॉयड के बीच में बहुत झगड़ा करते हैं कि एप्पल अच्छा है कि एंड्रॉयड अच्छा है, और हम लोग बोलते हैं अरे यार एंड्रॉयड के अंदर में ना ये फीचर तो 10 साल पहले था, 5 साल पहले था, एप्पल में अभी लेके आया। तो एप्पल को क्या ये बात नहीं पता है कि एंड्रॉयड के अंदर में वो पहले से फीचर है? एप्पल को ये बात पता है, लेकिन अगर एप्पल वो फीचर लेके नहीं आता है तो एंड्रॉयड को वो फीचर एक यूनिक वैल्यू इफेक्ट देता है, यानी कि एक एडवांटेज देता है। भले एप्पल का मजाक उड़ जाए, लेकिन एप्पल उस इफेक्ट को घटाता है और अपने आप अपने अपने यूनिक वैल्यू इफेक्ट को बढ़ाता है। यूनिक वैल्यू इफेक्ट से दो फायदा होता है। एक फायदा होता है कि आपकी तरफ में उस यूनिक वैल्यू के लिए आपके कस्टमर आएंगे। दूसरा फायदा होता है आपसे बार्गेन कम करते हैं, क्योंकि वो वैल्यू आपके इसमें मिलता है। तो ये पुल मार्केटिंग की एक टेक्निक है जिसके लिए हम लोग यूज करते हैं, यूनिक वैल्यू इफेक्ट करते हैं, और हम लोग अपस्किल में भी यूज करते हैं। और हम लोग का 80% जो हमारे यहाँ पे स्टूडेंट पढ़ते हैं वो हमारा पुल मार्केटिंग के थ्रू आते हैं। हाउएवर हम लोग उसको उल्टा करने के चक्कर में हैं, बट अभी 80% हमारा उसके अंदर में आते हैं, पुल मार्केटिंग इफेक्ट्स आते हैं। और मैं अगर आपको बताऊं कि मेरे जो टॉप 1% स्टूडेंट जो एंटरप्रेन्योर हैं वो एक साल में 100 करोड़ से ऊपर का रेवेन्यू जनरेट करते हैं। जॉब में भी काफी अच्छा वो लोग करते हैं, काफी अच्छा काम करते हैं, कर ही रहे हैं, राइट? और अब आते हैं टेक्नोलॉजी के ऊपर में। अब आते हैं आप लोग उसको कैसे यूज कर सकते हैं। देखिए, दो तरह की ऑडियंस आपको पता है, एक पुश और एक ऑडियंस पुल। पुल कहां पे मिलती है? जैसे कि गूगल में किसी ने सर्च किया तो वहां से पुल ऑडियंस मिलती है, जिसको इनबाउंड भी हम लोग बोलते हैं। B2B में टारगेट करना पॉसिबल नहीं है आपके फेसबुक पे, लिंक्डइन पे, इन सब जगह पे नहीं जहां पे ऑडियंस है, लेकिन आप हमेशा टारगेट कर सकते हो पुल ऑडियंस को। यानी कि कोई आदमी अगर सर्च कर रहा है कि मुझे डोर के नॉब चाहिए बल्क में, तो आप उसको टारगेट करके एड्स दिखा सकते हो। और एक बार आपकी वेबसाइट में आया, अब आता है टेक्नोलॉजी का काम। हमारे पास में अभी ऐसी टेक्नोलॉजी है कि आप अपने यूजर को ट्रैक कर सकते हो कि उनको दोबारा ऐड, आपको भी दिखता होगा ऑफकोर्स, लाइक आप जब जाते होगे तो आपको हर जगह वही ऐड दिखने लगता होगा, राइट? तो जिसको हम लोग रीमार्केटिंग, रीटारगेटिंग बोलते हैं, ट्रेडिशनल में इसको रीब्रांडिंग भी बोला जाता है, राइट? तो अब टेक्नोलॉजी का यूज करते हुए आप उन ऑडियंस को वही सेम चीज बराबर देख सकते हैं। यहां पे इंटरेस्ट का कोई लेना देना ही नहीं। जो आपकी वेबसाइट में आया, गूगल से सर्च करके, ईमेल के थ्रू, SMS के थ्रू, वो कभी ना कभी इंटरेस्टेड है। हम कभी भी हमारे फेसबुक के अंदर में कम से कम 50 लिंक आते दिन में, हम कभी 50 लिंक पे क्लिक करते नहीं करते, हम जिसमें इंटरेस्टेड होते हैं उसमें क्लिक करते हैं, राइट? तो मेजोरिटी ऑफ पीपल जब आपकी वेबसाइट में आते हैं वो इंटरेस्टेड होते हैं और उनको आप रीटारगेट कर सकते हो। और ये रीटारगेटिंग बहुत पावरफुल था, क्योंकि ऐसे लोगों को बेचना जो आपके प्रोडक्ट के बारे में नहीं जान रहे हैं वो मुश्किल होता है, ऐसे लोगों को बेचना जहां पे आपके ऑडियंस को जानते हैं। विद दैट, छोटा सा सेशन है और छोटा रखने के लिए रखना भी चाहिए, क्योंकि और भी स्पीकर है, उनको भी मौका मिलना चाहिए। तो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर कॉलिंग। थैंक यू।
Thank you so much, Mr. Arbab. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Arbab once again. Great learning for us. Thank you so much once again. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people relate engagement with the amount spent. Or we run ads a lot of times of marketing will happen, but we don't get the ROI we expect. To provide us some guiding lessons, I would like to call Mr. Ayush Jawar, who is a co-founder and technical director, Genified Brand Protection Solution, which is an end-to-end supply chain traceability and loyalty SaaS platform, to deliver a session on how to do marketing without money that I really need to learn, bro. पैसा किसी को खर्च नहीं करना है ये तो सीखना पड़ेगा Anyways, please.
Actually, it's again a chicken and egg concept कि पहले मुर्गी आई या अंडा. तो ये वही है कि पैसा है भी नहीं भी है, मार्केट कैसे करें. So I'll tell you about my journey a little bit. I'm coming from a very decent background, but it's a Marwadi background, so I was still Garib. If any Marwadi in the house, can relate to me. Our fathers don't give us any money after the college. So yes. So sold my first software for 5,000 rupees. I came back from Lancaster, UK. My dad gave me the greatest education I could ever have in my entire his hierarchy. And I went down to Lancaster, UK, came back. I said, I'll join my dad's business. I couldn't do so because I couldn't relate to it. It was very, very unorganized, but he was doing really well for himself. I always wanted to be an organized child, wanted to start an app and website designing company. I started something known as Web Shuttle in 2013, and I sold my first software for 5,000 rupees. That is absolutely truth. And I still remember the day I went to a small patli si gali in some area, Mukundpur, and I sold this guy who was running a call center for 5,000 rupees. I sold my first software. And I realized that, the things could be sold without money. So here we are. I represent a company known as Genified. Genified is into first party data capturing for large brands, captures consumer data as well as, engages consumers, retailers, as well as track and trace for everyone in the supply chain for consumer brands like Bisleri, Borosil, Seat, Tires. We have those barcodes and QR codes all along the supply chain. And today we are almost sitting on a $2 million traction, all without money. So here I am marketing without money. Money is the most important thing to scale up, no doubt, but there is always cost-effective ways, So what you need to do is play the game of blackjack. Earn a little bit money, put in more money, put in more chips, earn more money, put in more chips. So this is how I have been able to scale up, bootstrap. But what was the, how did I do that? What was the mantra? So my mantra was SaaS. I'm a B2B enterprise SaaS, so mantra was also SaaS. But this SaaS had a different meaning. It was not software as sales, but it was startup, aura, action, and stories. So my mantra is your startup scalable? First of all, if you are a startup, you need to look at whether what are you doing is, forming a J curve. What I mean by J curve is that अगर आपका startup scalable नहीं है, go back and think on making a platform. The gentleman over there, you had a question, right? That you wanted to make a platform because you had certain limit. आपने 5 करोड़ 10 करोड़ 20 करोड़ का धंधा कर लिया होगा, उससे ज़्यादा आप जा नहीं पाओगे क्योंकि आपका startup scalable नहीं है. For scalability, you need the tech platform. एंड यू नीड अ जे कर्व. जे कर्व का मतलब ये होता है कि एक टाइम के बाद आपने जाकर के रिसोर्सेज बंद कर दिए और फिर भी आपका स्टार्टअप कमा रहा है. यू नो, यू आर नॉट पुटिंग इन एनी मोर मनी, स्टिल योर स्टार्टअप इज अर्निंग. So first you need to look at whether your startup is scalable. So first thing of the SaaS startup, which is scalable startup, A is for aura. If you believe in something so much, you know, that पूरी कायनात उसे मिलाने में लग जाती है, that is an absolute truth. So I believed in the first year I made a revenue. 2017 में जब हमने वेब शटल बंद किया और जेनिफाइड स्टार्ट किया, I had a failed startup. I started Genified 2018. We just did a revenue of 4 lakh rupees. But the next year I manifested of looking at 1 crore. So we did 40 lakhs. The next year I manifested of 2 crores. So we did 1.5 crores. And the next year we manifested $2 million and we are already clocking it. So power of manifestation is beautiful. Every day when I get up, I say one thing, which is today is going to be the best day of my life. And it really becomes everyone, collectively. मेरे को consumer brand से मिलना होता है तो top of the top consumer brands, I've met all of them. I was sitting with the Bajaj Consumer Care day before yesterday. उससे पहले Sterling Perfumes Dubai. I've also met the Sputnik guys very recently. So the whole world is conspiring to actually make me meet them. So that is something which is very, very true, that you need to believe in your startup, and law of manifestation is actually true. You need to say that, this is going to be the best day of my life and I'm going to make it happen. The second thing about aura is happiness. We all believe in a notion that, happiness, when will I be happy? Happiness is not just, it is not something which will just happen to you. It is something which is cultivated. It is something which grows as a plant, like Aditya said, that when you seed the plant, it grows into a tree, which was wonderful. So happiness is always cultivated. You look at the right ground, you bow the right seed, you water it continuously, the tree grows and gives you fruits, and that is happiness, right? So happiness is always cultivated. Create that aura around you, that the entire organization is run with happiness. I always say to my employees and my colleagues that, we need to drive things with love rather than drive things with anxiety and fear. So startups today are not driven by anxiety and fear. They are driven by, they are driven by love. And they would work 24/7 whenever it's required. You give them all the perks, they will do their responsibilities. It's more about accountability these days. And of course, power of one thing. This I've learned with the biggest of the biggest people. I was with this entrepreneur who's a billionaire I was in UAE last week, and he absolutely did nothing throughout the day. I spent the entire day with him. He absolutely did nothing, only one thing, which was the most important thing, which actually brought him the results. And I've seen that multiple times, that, we think that the busy people are always the richest people on the planet Earth, but it's not true. Busy people are not the rich ones. Busy people are always entangled and, confused ones. So we need to see things clearly. We need to have one thing, one goal in a day, one big brand in a day, 365 days. A B2B startup can have 365 clients. So that's what I also tell my, colleagues, that, if we focus on gathering one particular client in a day, we will just focus on that. And, let's make sure that we give them the 100%. And the second part, after aura, once you develop aura, you have a scalable startup, the actions part. Some tips about action is that, you need to take a plunge. 50% of the job is done when the B2B startup goes and reach out to the customer. मैं ऐप सीलिंग वालों के पास गया या ऐप सीलिंग वाले मेरे पास आए तो आधा काम तो वहीं पे हो गया. Now 50% things can, and the idea is great, it's scalable, everything is there, just need to reach out. That plunge is the biggest plunge, 50% job is done. And the second part about action would be that always being prepared to the client. I have a rule that I reach 30 minutes earlier. उससे क्या होता है कि 30 मिनट पहले अगर आप किसी के ऑफिस में पहुंचोगे तो दो आप काम कर पाओगे. एक तो पहले आप टाइम पे आओगे, which will be respected a lot. सेकंड, वहां पर बैठ करके आप प्रिपेयर कर सकते हो. और अगर आपने क्लाइंट ने आपको 1 घंटा बिठा दिया, डोंट हैव ईगो. मेरे को क्लाइंट ने 4 घंटे बिठाया हुआ है. बिस्लरी के लिए मैंने 2 साल लगातार उनके डोर्स पे नॉक किया, एंड it's our biggest customer right now. All 20-liter jars has a genuine mark QR code by my company today. But 2 years of patience. So what happens is when a client asks you to sit down, You know, always realize that that is the biggest opportunity you can get because you can prepare yourself. आप किसी से मिलते जुलते बात कर लो, क्या प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट है, एक घंटे में आपने अपनी पीपीटी रिवाइज कर लिया, अपने लोगों को कलेक्ट कर लिया. So that is the biggest achievement, you know, when you get some time to, you know, actually think about it. Now, the second thing, when you meet the clients, the action part, always have a 2:1 ratio. Listen twice and speak once. That's the most important thing to actually close the deal. If you hear out what the client is saying, उसकी प्रॉब्लम क्या है, क्या सोल्यूशन आप दे सकते हो, आप बस पूछ लो सर, you've read about my pitch deck, आपने मीटिंग के लिए तभी मुझे बुलाया क्योंकि आपने मेरे pitch deck देखा है. Now, what do you think according to you? Some clients will say, we don't have a problem. No, we don't have any problem. Say, okay, sir, no worries. Let me go on and let me figure out what is the most important and the most interesting aspect for you. Always listen out to clients, 2:1 ratio. Do suno ek bolo, which is absolutely true. Always sit in L shape. You know, the direct interaction when you see with a client. आप अगर टेबल के सामने आँख क्रॉस करके एकदम ऐसे बैठोगे तो nothing will happen. These are little things which, you know, which can make differences. So you have a casual position, and my favorite thing is that I don't finish my tea until I'm done. So अगर आप चाय पूरी पी लोगे क्लाइंट के सामने तो क्लाइंट बोलेगा यार कि चलो चाय खत्म हो गई, good, had a good conversation. So these are psychological things, you know, you can have you know, cup of tea very slowly and even gone for something else. सर बिस्किट मिलेगा, तो थोड़ा कैजुअल भी होना जरूरी है. सो ये कुछ एक्शन पॉइंट्स थे, इसके अलावा बहुत सारे एक्शन पॉइंट्स हैं. एंड डोंट बी कन्वेंशनल. आपने सूट पहन लिया, टाई पहन लिया, सब कुछ कर लिया, आपको लगता है दिस इज द वे टू एक्चुअली, इसने किया है तो मेरा भी ऐसा होगा. नहीं. Every business is, see, I'm working with 50 plus enterprises. Every business's supply chain is unique. Every brand is unique. You are unique. You need to realize that you have your own mantra. You need to set your own goals, set your own action points. And the last is success stories. This is all we are here for. I've seen Aditya grow so immensely. A round of applause for him. You know, I've seen this guy from zero to hero. Today is the startup world's hero. And kudos to you, buddy. And you know, this is all the story all about. We need to see the end goal. We need to see what is happening at the end. Story बनाने के लिए हमेशा ये देखो कि end में क्या होगा. And अंत भला तो सब भला. तो अगर क्लाइंट को अच्छी स्टोरीज सुनाई, अपनी केस स्टडीज बताई, तो वो हमेशा ऑर्डर देगा. आप ये बता दो कि भाई बिस्लरी के लिए आपने क्या क्या किया, आप ये बता दो अपने बोरोसिल के लिए क्या क्या किया, सीएट के लिए क्या क्या किया, वरुणा पंप्स के लिए क्या क्या किया, किर्लोस्कर के लिए क्या क्या किया. जैसे ही आप ये सारी स्टोरीज आप बताने लगोगे, उतने में क्लाइंट बोलेगा यार इतने बड़े ब्रांड के साथ इतना सब कुछ कर लिया तो मेरे लिए कुछ ना कुछ तो कर ही लेगा. सो द लास्ट पार्ट इज सक्सेस स्टोरी ऑफ अ SaaS. एंड दैट इज हाउ आई कुड actually make money without money. Now I need funds. मेरे पास, you know, I have a, you know, I'm talking to brands, I'm talking to VCs for $5 million raise right now. I've already raised funds from 3 angel investors. वो सारा पैसा मैंने बैंक में FD करा रखा क्योंकि मेरे को अभी तक काम नहीं आया genuinely. And वो उनको क्यों मैंने on board लिया था is the same thing which Aditya said. You know, they had to bribe me to be the part of my company. They saw something in me, and that is why they believed in me, and they knew that I could make money and I could grow my startup, which is Genified. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It has been pleasure. Thank you so much, Anil bhai. Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ayush Jawar. मुझे पहले ही समझ आना चाहिए था, मनी विदाउट मार्केटिंग के लिए कोई मारवाड़ी ही आएंगे स्टेज पे. And ladies and gentlemen, it was very, very motivational insights for us. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, huge round of applause for Mr. Ayush. And he talked about, you know, startups are always driven by love. तो इसलिए आपको जो है वैलेंटाइन वीक का वेट करने की जरूरत नहीं है. That love is completely different. Just telling you. And ladies and gentlemen, पहला जो मोटिवेशन आता है ना हमारे को, वो आता है हमारी फैमिली से, और वो देते हैं हमारे पापा. जब आप घर से कुछ लेने नहीं निकलते और वो आपको सडनली आके बोलते हैं तुम्हारी उम्र में ना हम पहाड़ चढ़ जाते थे, अब दिल्ली में मैं कहां से पहाड़ चढ़ूं. आई डोंट नो, बट स्टिल ये फर्स्ट मोटिवेशन आता है. उसके बाद आपको लगता है ठीक है मैं एक दिन जाके पहाड़ चढ़ूंगा. बट लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, नाउ मूविंग ऑन, वी ऑल हैव कंस्ट्रक्टेड होम्स and have gone through a lot of hassles in contacted various various vendors, ladies and gentlemen, managing various payments, managing material supply and everything. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to design and construct, and let's have a look at a short video first, and after that, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call upon Mr. Priyadarshi Mishra, founder of Design and Construct, who is going to explain more about the unique plans of the company. Can we have the video, please?
That's huge. That is a biggie. It's out of here. 6 more. Just a flick of the wrist. And away she goes into the crowd. This is in the air again. Clears Longo. 3 in a row. '24 of the first 4 balls. 30 with 1 ball to go. Could he make it 6 out of 6? Last ball of the innings. Yes, into the crowd. 6 sixes in an over. Yuvraj Singh finishes things off in style.
Yuvraj Singh, as a shareholder and brand ambassador, presents Design and Construct.in, India's first tech-enabled construction company. Mr. Priyadarshi Mishra, founder and CEO. Mr. Gaurav Kumar Nanda, co-founder and CFO. Mr. Krishna Varun, co-founder and COO. Mr. Syed Suhaibullah, co-founder and project head. Design and Construct is a leading individual construction company that deals with the aspect of end-to-end needs of home and commercial construction, such as interiors, renovation, floor addition, and even painting, with an option of customizing your requirements, creating a synergy between the teams to ensure there is proper coordination. Hence, we give our clients peace of mind as our top talents are working on building your dream home. We are currently present in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mysore and Pune. Our vision is to become the largest tech-enabled construction company in India, potentially achieving $1 billion opportunity over the next 5 years. Some of the current problems we are facing in this sector are time delay, cost overruns, quality issues, ineffective communication, choosing the right material, higher costs, building the dream team, unorganized and fragmented. Here is a sum up of the solutions we offer. Turnkey, convenient, top-notch service, e-monitoring, 100% transparency, choosing the right material, economical, on-time delivery, no cost overruns, warranty, everything on the edge of technology. Now let's understand how it works. We first capture customer needs, followed by a site visit. Subsequently, the client gets to choose the right package for themselves, including the budgeting, and ultimately, we execute it and hand over a dream project. Here is a glimpse of the traction we have gained so far. Currently, we are working on 200 plus projects, with a current order value of 60 crore plus. Handed over 7 projects, 85 projects under execution, and revenues booked until now is 8 crore plus. Market opportunity. Service available market is $40 billion. Number of projects approved annually are 7,50,000, out of which 75% are individual homes. Target for next financial year is 650 projects from 200 current projects.
Design and Construct is, co-presenting Startup Story B2B Connect. So can we have a huge round of applause, everybody, for that? And how helpful this session is becoming, because networking is important and you get to meet a lot of people from different areas of life. So, sir, over to you.
Thank you, Manish. Thank you, Nimesh. Hi, everybody. It gives me immense pleasure to be here. We are based out of Bangalore, but Delhi is my hometown. So it gave me an opportunity to come back. So that is an added advantage. I told Animesh also. So here I'm presenting Design and Construct. We co-founded this in Jan 2021, and it's been almost a year now that we started this with 4 of my co-founders. And we all are hardcore technical guys and had an experience of construction over the years. And जब ये startup, when we were planning, the basic thing that we thought about is सबसे important life में क्या है? सबसे important life में is something is home, house, and it everybody starting from a guy who earns 10,000 rupees to guy who 10 crore rupees a month, एक घर तो बनाना है. And when you talk about buying a house, it's very easy. You go to any top city, you identify 4 or 5 builders, you see an apartment, and you eventually in your budget go and buy an apartment. 1-2 साल में delivery मिल जाती है, 3 साल में मिल जाती है. But when you plan and start a construction, the entire circus starts. You have to first identify a architect or a contractor, then a contractor or an architect, and in the worst case scenario, both. So here, when we were building this, we thought about how we can build this into an industry, $1 billion industry, and how we can take it forward. So the basic thing that we thought about was that to integrate technology in this basic house building. और ये सबसे पुराना स्टार्टअप है, वर्ल्ड का सबसे पुराना स्टार्टअप अगर कुछ था तो वो घर बनाना था, building house. So we as a team are now trying to build a startup, and we are a very early stage when we are just 200 projects now, and opportunity, as I told you, it's a $40 billion in next 5 years. So हम अपने आप को, we say we are an early startup even after clogging 60 crores of GMV, 8 crore, 10 crores of revenue. My finance guys every day give me new figures, and I'm amazed that we have been delivering this. But the problem still lies to reach out to the masses. हमारा aim उन लोगों के पास नहीं जाना है जिनके पास सारी facilities हैं, who can on a click of button do everything. We need to go to the masses whom we need to educate. We need to tell them कि how technology can be a part of your home construction also. आज जैसे खाना order करना Swiggy and Zomato ने easy कर दिया, we want to make that into home construction. Just through an app, you can build your house. We have developed our in-house app, which is available in Android and iOS, where you can download it and you can just build your house through an app. So this is how technology is being part of this construction industry. So keep watching us. We will be building more houses soon in every of the city. We are coming to all the cities. In next 1 year, our plan is to go from 4 cities to 15 more cities, and eventually all tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And vision is to, कल को कोई भी बंदा जब घर बनाने के लिए सोचे इंडिविजुअल, तो DNC, डिजाइन एंड कंस्ट्रक्ट, उसके दिमाग में आना चाहिए. The first thing that has to come in his mind is design and construct, and that not to by visiting the site or be at the location, just by using the smartphone or a laptop in his hand. So this is what we are trying to build. Surely you will hear more about this in the coming future. So thanks. This is how I'll wrap it up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Moving on to our very special section, for which I wouldn't be telling much about, but I'd like to invite the man himself, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Shubhranshu Kumar Niogi, who is a passionate founder, growth catalyst, versatile business leader with a proven track record of driving scale and growth across diverse industries such as FMCG, retail, finance services, media, telecom, education, both from B2C and B2B. So, sir ने कुछ छोड़ा नहीं है. So, it's going to be really insightful, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together.
Thank you, everyone. And thanks, Startup Story, for having me over. Uh, it's been a very fascinating journey. And my dear friend Ayush, who's here, was kind enough to plug me in with Animesh and everyone here to invite me. I think I've been very fortunate. I've been 25 years, various industries, various companies. But I was fortunate that in those roles that I was with, corporate roles, I think that whole, kida of entrepreneurship was sort of, took shape there. I was lucky to be in entrepreneurial roles where I was, although within a corporate frame, but, I was lucky to have been given the right empowerment by the promoters, by the people who were in those companies. And that bug about entrepreneurship bit me there. So I've been kind of, very active in this whole ecosystem for the last 7-8 years. But after about 24, 25 years in various roles, as the gentleman said, I, jumped into my own startup, which was 3 years ago. So what I do is two things. I run a growth advisory firm called Cbox Advisory. So we work at the intersection of sales, marketing, and digital transformation for various early stage companies and emerging businesses. And I also have invested and incubated a fintech venture. Plus, there are some investments that I've made over the last few years. So I work very closely with entrepreneurs and founders. So I think, what I'd like to share here are just few of my experiences uh, around, you know, around growth. Okay. I mean, as Aditya said, I think the ecosystem's changed. Okay. Completely. Okay. So while VCs initially and people who were, funding companies at one point in time, uh, used to get swayed and carried away by certain KPIs. But today, I think the reality is very different. People today are looking at the fundamentals of business, how businesses are growing, how they're tracking. And the other thing is, of course, it's a VUCA world. I mean, everybody used to talk about a VUCA world uh, 5, 6 years, 7 years back, but I think the last 2 years, I think it's changed like nobody's business. I mean, it's so refreshing to be here in a physical event almost after 2 years. I think one of the people said. So I think given the current context, I think it's all about growth, right? I mean, as founders, as promoters, as business owners, I think if you're not able to grow your business or scale your business, I think all the fancy PPTs and the fancy sort of playbooks are of no use. So I think the way I see growth, I mean, it's the ability to, kind of take the business to the next level. And I think it's not just about one thing, but it's about multiple dimensions. So I have a framework, or we have a framework where, we work with various businesses. We call it the 4 Ps, right? So the first P, as I say, which is imperative for growth, is positioning. Okay. Now, most people think positioning is only with the marketing lens, where they talk about brand building, etc. But I think positioning fundamentally is about your story. What's your story? Okay. I think most people uh, build great products. They're very passionate. So, tech centric founders, have built great products, great businesses, but they at times, tend to not spend enough time about crafting the narrative, crafting the story, crafting the positioning. So I think the first step really to build a sound, good business or a building block for growth is to have your positioning ready. So that's one. The second P, which I feel or we feel is very, very critical in terms of building a business and growing a business, is about processes. Whether you're a 5 crore business or a 500 crore business or a 5,000 crore business, I think you have to start from day one, because, most people in this enthusiasm to build startups and emerging businesses tend to, sort of deprioritize processes. People feel that, look, I'm a startup. I need to kind of, keep juggling around and keep kind of fiddling around with things, do A/B testing. But processes will come later when we grow. And, most people tend to confuse processes with bureaucracy. It's not bureaucracy. It's about doing the right thing, checking the right boxes. So whether you're a 5 crore company or a 500 crore company or a 5,000 crore company, your processes are extremely critical. So day zero, day 100, day 1,000, ultimately it's all about processes. So if you put in place those building blocks about processes, about go to market, your sales, marketing, people, etc., I think that really holds you in good stead when you kind of keep growing and keep expanding and uh, scaling up your business. The third P, which is equally very important and I believe is most important, is people. Whether again you're a 5-member organization or a 50-member organization, I think getting the right talent and aligning them with your vision as a founder, as a promoter, is very important. I mean, today, the kind of the growth advisory firm that I run, we have about 10 people. It's a very small setup, right? But ultimately, even if we are 10 people, and I used to run an organization where 1,000 people at one point in time were reporting into me, I think it's very critical that those 10 people or 1,000 people have to get aligned with your vision, have to get aligned with your thought process. So I think people is a third P. It's a critical building block of actually growing. And the last P, which is again very important, is pace, which is execution. People have a great story, great people, great product, great processes, but ultimately, if you're not executing and not tracking day on day in a business and not tracking the KPIs, and you don't have an optimal operating rhythm for the business, it's not going to grow. So I think it's when these 4 Ps come together in harmony, in unison, that's when really a business grows. A lot of people talk about growth, but it's very important to focus on these building blocks, in my view, to actually ensure that the business keeps growing. And it's not that when you reach a certain stage or you reach a certain scale that you should start focusing on these. Our view and my view is that whatever little I've learned over these years in my experiences with various corporates, as well as in my own entrepreneurial journey, is that before even you start setting up your business, even when you start thinking of the idea, it's very important that you actually start calibrating your roadmap, calibrating your business plan around these 4 Ps. So that's really my 2 cents about how you can really grow. But more importantly, I think given the current situation and the current sort of conditions and the sort of times that we live in, I think it's very important that we stay focused. So I often, and I was telling Ayush about this the other day, there are these 3 E's that you should focus on. So my advice to young founders, to people who run their own businesses, including all of us in this room, is really focus on the 3 E's. One is about engagement. Okay, so when you are in troubled waters, when you're in troubled times, there comes a point in time when you're unable to acquire beyond what you already have on the table. So what is very important is keep engaging with what you have on the table, keep engaging with your existing customers, keep engaging with your people. The second E is about enhancement. How do you really keep pivoting your product? How do you keep pivoting your offering? Because a product is never consistent. It's always day zero. So you have a version 1, you have a version 1.5, version 2.0, and so on and so forth. So I think that product, the offering needs to be enhanced and keep, revisiting. You need to keep revisiting and sharpening it from time to time. And finally, the third E, which is very, very important and more so in the current times, is about the energies, energized. I mean, as founders, as promoters of businesses, I think we need to keep hustling every day. So every day is day zero. So keep hustling, keep the energies flowing, and more importantly, ensure that the energy keeps flowing within your ecosystem of partners, employees, people who are associated with the business. So I think that's that. So in order to kind of grow the business and keep growing it from one level to the other, scaling it up, make sure that you practice the 4 Ps. I mean, it could be the 4 Ds or 4 As, I don't know, but this is my framework, and I thought this could be helpful to share with all of you. So it's only when these 4 Ps kind of work in unison and in harmony that you are able to scale and grow a business. And more so in the current times, it's about the 3 E's, as I said. So keep the energies flowing, make sure that you're engaging with your existing constituencies, and finally, keep enhancing your product, keep pivoting, and make sure that it's always day zero, and keep hustling. I think there's no other alternative to keep hustling, as Ayush said. If it means going and sitting there for 4 hours in front of the client to make sure that business comes your way, so be it, right? So I think great to be here, and I think it's very encouraging to actually come to a place where everybody's building their own business, everybody's excited and energized. So great to be here, and look forward to engaging with all of you, and thank you very much once again for having me.
That was Mr. Shubhranshu for you, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we all have traveled in our commercial plans, and we are aware of the time delay which is caused by it. The solution to the problem and the future of the aviation industry are economically viable chartered plans. To present some more insights on the same, I'd like to call upon Mr. Santosh Sharma, who is the founder of the book My Jet, India's first tech platform for private jets. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Santosh.
Good evening, all of you. I know it's a Sunday evening, and that to post-pandemic, I saw some people leaving out and coming back. But before I start off with what I want to say, let me just address a point. When I came here, I saw Animesh. That's for you. And he was a bit baffled out there, and then he told me one thing. He said, "Sir, uh, मैं 3 दिन से सोया नहीं हूँ, right? 3 days. I had sleepless night, and he just event हो जाए." So my word to you, Animesh, is, and this is not philosophy, this is a fact, because I was in events once upon a time. Don't be bothered about these empty chairs, because you've done a great job, and I'm sure this event will turn out to be, just the first one possibly, but I'm sure in the days to come, you'll actually make a good brand for yourself. So all the very best, and for you and Anil, right? Beginning थोड़ा difficult होता है, right? Okay. I was not prepared, but then I love bribing people. Okay, मुझे घूस देना बहुत पसंद है actually, in the kind of business I'm into. So the person who gives me the loudest cheer after my presentation, I might give you a private jet ride. Okay, and I mean it. So I mean it. A lot of people have flown free of cost with me in my private planes, not my, but of course my friends' planes. So give me a loudest cheer. Keep smiling. I like smiling faces. So when you're not smiling, I get very irritated. मैं पीछे बोल रहा था to a friend of mine, Sumit. I said, "Sir, पता नहीं मैं क्या बोलूँगा आके यहाँ पर." But then anyways, I'll try to do that. But I promise this. Okay, just to give you a brief about myself, my name is Santosh Sharma. I'm a father of a 15 years old boy, and I just got married last year. So the combination, मेरा बच्चा शादी के पहले पैदा नहीं हुआ था, but I got married twice. So that's how it is. I'm from a small place called Jamshedpur. I'm sure all of you know where is Jamshedpur, the house of Tatas. Somebody said very nicely, I think Ayush said, the busiest people are the most confusing people. They are people who are mostly confused, right? ऐसा कुछ बोला था तुमने, right? I'm one of them. I'm the most busiest person because I'm the most confusing guy, because मुझे खुद नहीं पता मुझे करना क्या है, right? So थोड़ी देर पहले I was sitting with Priyadarshi, the founder of DNC. By the way, he was my student 17 years back. मैंने आज सुबह बाल अपने काले कराए हैं, इसीलिए don't go by my age. I'm 46 years old. So he was my student when I was teaching in a B school 17 years back. So we're just discussing about a new business plan. So we almost had 2 business ready now in the last 1 hour time. So I keep doing a lot of things, but aviation is something which is there in my blood. So when I was small, the only thing I understood was aircraft. And even today, if you ask me any question apart from aviation and films, I'm the wrong person. Though I'm an investor in few startups, I'm an advisor to few startups. One of my portfolio companies there from Bareilly. But then, when I went to Bombay for my graduation, I was a very shy person, very shy, could not speak. Typically a shy guy from Jamshedpur, don't know how to talk, किससे बात करना है, कैसे करना. Then I started my working career from there. And I say very proudly, the first job that I did in my life, I used to sell juices. Okay, I used to sell Tropicana juices at Juhu Beach, Aksa Beach. में मैं juice बेचा करता था. And that was from 4 to 9 p.m. And then from 10 to 12, I used to sell Act 2 popcorn. You know Act 2 popcorn, all of you? Right. So I used to get about 375 rupees per day. And I still managed to be the topper of my college. I'm a gold medalist economics from National College, Bandra. Then I came to Delhi for my master's, completed a master's, was in a consulting firm, doing very well. But then again, aviation was always there. I wanted to be into aviation. And then one fine day, I just bumped into somebody. He was my client. He offered me a job in a charter company. Joined that company in 2005. Not knowing karna kya company mein, good salary. But that was the first company, and I'm the first salesman of business jet industry in India, right? 2005, 5th of September. Uh, that's right. You got it. So I was the first employee of that company and the first salesman of the company, by the way. I worked for 4 years, took my company from 1 aircraft to 8 aircraft, from one salesman to 9 people in the company, from one client to 289 clients in span of 4 years. Before I left the company, started my own. The person who got me into this industry is my current wife. She was reporting to me that time. Now I'm reporting it to her. Uh, I called her today to this place, but she said, you go on with the presentation. Uh, a lot to say, but then uh, Aditya is here. Ayush, you spoke so much wonderful things, and I resonated with that because there are a lot of things I could relate with you. फर्क ये है कि मेरे हाथ पे कोई मोबाइल फोन नहीं है, and but yes, there's something you said very rightly that that love factor is something which is very important, and everything I do today, everything. So Book My Jet happened to be my dream project. Started 4 years back without any knowledge of technology, no knowledge of technology. I was being cheated by a technology company by 6 lakh rupees. It's okay, expensive. Experience was expensive, but then in last 2 years of this pandemic, I spent a lot of time in learning technology so that now I know what I have to do. So very proudly, I say that from the 1st April, we have tied up with a company based out of Gurgaon. This guy is to work with me in my company. He started a technology company, and then today we are working with each other. He's helping me out with the entire technology background of Book My Jet, and we are also developing a lot of modules for business aviation. That's on the Book My Jet side. This is the first platform possibly in the world where you get to see the aircraft on a real-time basis. We have got 2 APIs based out of one for UK and from the US market, where we'll also integrate these APIs with our platform so that you can see the aircraft even those part of the world. And by the way, how many of you have flown in a private jet, first of all? Wonderful, this one. I thought koi nahi hoga. That's all. Which was that? Oh, of course. It's now League Air. We have met earlier? I'm sure. Okay, bad memory. Definitely, Mr. Kodvani. Okay, if you have not flown, I promise you, just keep watching out for this space. Within the next 2 years, we'll make charters affordable for even people who are flying in a commercial plane. That's what is the larger vision of Book My Jet. That's what we're going to do in a time to come. We are building a community right now so that anybody requiring anything under roof in general aviation, Book My Jet will be there, right? So that is all about general aviation, business aviation, etc., which I'm very passionate about. Coming to startups, well, the person who actually, one of the people who actually I admire and who got me into this is Aditya. He doesn't know this, but today we are meeting actually for the first time. 4 years back, I went for an event where Aditya was one of the speakers, and I still have the diary in my car right now where I wrote all the small points, and they were talking about ARR, pitch deck, and whatnot. I don't know. And I was like, what nonsense is this? Yeah, kya word ismal kar rahe hain log? Then I went to another friend of mine, Priyanka Badnani. I said, teach me these things. She taught me a few things about pitch deck, जो मुझे आज भी नहीं पता है. Then I went to Amit Singhal, a very renowned person in this field. Dhyanu Das, all of you, I'm sure you know. These people actually taught me about, about startups and stuff like that. And cut down to 2021, 25th of August, where I thought I need to do something in startup. And I wrote a story in LinkedIn that I'm going to Jharkhand, where I belong to, and I want to, encourage the startups out there. And that's where my startup journey started. In last 6 months or so, I've invested in about 6 companies. I'm also advisor on few companies. One of them is W Elevate. The founders are there. So there's only one thing I say to all the startups. If you are there, listen to this very carefully. A lot of people come to me and say, sir, this is my proposal, this is my proposal. There are some which are really very nice. I give it to either Aditya or to other friend of mine to evaluate where I'm not the right person. But there's only one thing that I keep seeing today in this world of startup, which is, I'm sorry, but it's missing from most of the startup founders. It's like you are in love with a girl and you want to introduce your girl to your parents for, to get married. How do you go? Do you go without passion? No, you go like very excited that mom, this is a girl I want to get married, or this is a boy I want to get married to. Similarly, the same story with startups. When you're proposing your idea, I see 80% people are not even passionate about it. उन लोगों का simple aim होता है unicorn. They don't even know the journey between that place and unicorn. So my only request is whenever you are actually pitching your idea to any of the investor or whosoever, there should be an element of passion in your eyes, in your action, in your everything. And Mr. Arad, yeah, he said something very nicely. No, in fact, Mani said, I'm so sorry. He said, about people creak, they're wearing t-shirt. I always tell all my startup people that apart from the wrong place, you will never find me not wearing my company's shirt or a jacket or whatever, depending on the season. See, in my company is a culture that everyone has to wear the company's, either jacket or a shirt. If it's a cold, it's like you have to wear a full jacket. We have a country's flag out here. We have a emblem out here. So make sure that anytime you are going for any event, make sure that you're wearing your brand at least, right? And one last thing before I finish off, there's something which I tell to all my startup companies, everybody, like, today you must have met a lot of people. I met a couple of young guys. Prabhash, we have been talking, we are meeting for the first time, Neeraj, and there are so many people. You have all the cards. You have collected your cards, right? Make sure that you write something about that person behind your card when you go back home, if you remember. So if you meet me, I'll tell you that, okay, fine, I'll tell something personal about you. I'll say something like, I'm not keeping well or blah, blah. Just write that in behind the card and keep that with you. 2 days later, call that person, just talk from the same topic. Start from the same topic. And believe me, 25 years हो गए मेरे को काम करते हुए मेरे हर कार्ड के पीछे में हर बंदे का एक स्टोरी लिखा रहा था छोटा सा and that person will never ever forget you. So business is all about relationship, nothing else. ये तो सब ज्ञान सब दे रहे थे, मुझे ज़्यादा पता नहीं है, but I just love to do whatever I want to. I never shy away from getting new businesses. I'm not from business background. I'm not a Marwadi, typical from a middle class person in a family. But then I just love to do whatever I want to. So I was not happy with the marriage. I came out of it, right? I paid some money in the court, of course, but then it was a good time. Doesn't matter. My son is there with me. I'm happy about it. But then there's a book which has been published in Dubai, known as 28. I don't know how many of you know credentials of entrepreneurs. One of my quote is there. It's written, if you're not happy doing something, quit then and there. There's nothing called second chance. Most of the entrepreneurs, I'm telling you, if at all you're doing something, if you're not loving it, quit it. Don't drag things. It will only smell, right? And be in love with it. Have a serious affair with your venture. Don't play with it. Have a serious affair with the venture. Keep loving it. और सोचो कि ये लड़की है या लड़का है जिसको मुझे शादी करना है और उसको मेरे को पेरेंट्स के पास लेके जाना है. Be in love with it. Thank you so much.
That was a great session. Thank you so much, Mr. Santosh. So there were certain things mentioned by him very clearly. So love has to be there. The passion has to be there. That's what I mentioned in the very beginning that, all the entrepreneurs, all the beginners, you have to have the ample amount of passion inside you so that, it excites you and you go towards your goal. And that was the only reason I was so passionate about my goal that I actually got through it. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Mr. Santosh, once again. And there were a couple of things, that power of networking he just spoke about. कि 4 साल पहले आदित्य को उन्होंने कहीं देखा and उनको एक idea आया of business. Secondly, 2 businesses are already cooking there with him, right? So 2 businesses are already cooking. That's the power of networking, ladies and gentlemen, and you have to crack it. You have to crack it, and that's why we are giving you the 45 minutes of networking time. But before the networking time is given to you, ladies and gentlemen, let me call upon somebody who can give you more insights and effective insights about networking. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call upon Mr. Prabhas Nirbhaya on stage. And Mr. Prabhas Nirbhaya is Chief Evangelist of Jharkhand Angels, a VC firm which believes in transforming Bharat one startup at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Prabhas is also a successful virtual CHRO of SMEs and startups, mentor for new entrepreneurs, and fundraiser enabler. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together once again for Mr. Nirbhay.
Thank you so much. I'll wait for that to change. So, we thus famously spoke, and controversially, of course, about two Indias, right? I'm going to speak about two Indias as well. So, I come from the United States of Bihar and Jharkhand, born and brought up there. Last 17 years, my home is Bangalore. And if you think about India and if you think about Bharat, the two parts of India, and that's why Jharkhand Angels, let me talk to you about the story of Jharkhand Angels first. 45% of all startups are born in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. 2% of all funded startups are from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Now, this distance between 2% and 45% is what Jharkhand Angels is for. What I want to do is bridge this gap between the 2% funding of startups in Bharat to the 45% of startups residing in Bharat. So that's the game we are going to be playing for the next 25 years. If you're going to change the screen, please do that. Otherwise, remove that, please. Now, there's another story. If you think about Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, on an average, 1/3 of per capita income of Maharashtra. But surprisingly, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand also happen to be sitting on 50% of the mineral wealth of India. So what's happening to all that money? Where is it going? Now, if you look at the value chain of companies, or value chain of farming, for example, the farmers commit suicides, but a plate of salad in this hotel will cost you upward of 500, 600 rupees. Similarly, when you look at minerals, mining happens in Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, but the money goes and resides in Mumbai. And this has to change. If we want a more equitable, more accelerated growth of this country, that this number has to change. This entire ecosystem has to change. And that's what Jharkhand Angels is for. Last 7 years, I've been working with startups, startup founders and SMEs through another company of mine, the shirt of which I'm wearing, which is called Flip Carbon. Flip Carbon is in a similar business like Subhranshu here. We are into growth consulting. I was happy Arbab's wearing a t-shirt called Strategy to Execution, a Balanced Diet. Now, that we are in the balanced diet business. I believe that your vision is like energy passing through an electromagnet. The moment you switch the line on, everyone in the organization needs to point in the same direction, and that's how execution happens. But let me now focus on networking, because I have built my entire career on networking. 95% plus of my business today is purely inbound calls. No, we do not do much sales. In fact, I can proudly say I'm very bad at sales, because I don't need to do sales, because our entire business is word of mouth. No, one client to another, other client to another, other client to another. I signed on one client almost 5 years back in Mumbai. My entire business was built around that, even today. Now, let me talk about what I wanted to talk about from a networking perspective. A lot of us look at networking. I'm surprised at the empty chairs here, because this is such a great opportunity you guys have created for young founders, who need to get noticed, who need to find some voice in the room, and to miss that opportunity is extremely surprising. I mean, I'm no more a young founder. I have a grey beard, right? And yet I've come all the way from Bangalore. I woke up at 4 o'clock, caught my flight at 7 o'clock. I landed in Delhi I was here in Aero City by 10:30, right? For a 3 o'clock event. And to see the chairs empty is a little surprising. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the power of networks. I think it's extremely important for startup founders to network all the time. In fact, if you are the CEO of your company, your primary job is that. Your fundraise will come from here, your first client will come from there, your referrals will come from there, and your own personal personality growth, because the more number of times you talk about your pitch, the more important your pitch becomes. So it's and more relevant your pitch becomes. I have seen my pitch improve over a period of time. So The more you network, the more your pitch improves. That's the first part of it. The second, I think, Shubhranshu, you talked about process, right? I think this word hustle and agile have taken people for a ride. Hustle and agile does not mean that you need to be disorganized. It only means that you need to be organized in an extremely fast and furious manner. What I like to call, plan in the morning, execute in the afternoon, and celebrate in the evening. Yeah. Plan in the morning, execute in the afternoon, and celebrate in the evening. Hopefully, beer. I come from Sab Miller, 7 years in Sab Miller. Beer is in my blood. Before that, I was in Irvin, 4 years in Irvin. Denim is on my butt. So that's how things have evolved in my career. Before that, I was in cement. So design and construct, guys. I started my career with ACC Cement. So roti kapra makan in this world of IT, tech, Web3, all of that. I'm a roti kapra makan guy. Roti is beer. Barley, no sir. So fundamental point is process is important. In fact, my entire 7 years has been built around processes for startups and SMEs, because you can't really afford the process guys full time. In the beginning of your career as a startup, your primary focus is your core. All the non-core issues, there are people like us, people like Shubhranshu who can help you with that. So that's what you should focus. Get the non-core guys, outsource that non-core, but get it done. Focus on process. The third piece I want to talk about is personal brand. It's extremely important for startup founders to invest time and energy in personal brand. I think it's one of the most underrated things. People think that if I'm a great technocrat, I will sell. You won't. People believe that if I'm a great product guy, I will sell. You won't. People believe that if you run campaigns, you will sell. Perhaps you will. But the first thing that will sell is your own personal brand. Your reputation walks into the room before you. And that reputation makes the life easier or tougher in that room full of people. Whether that room full of people is a client you are trying to sell to, whether the room full of people is employees you are trying to hire. In fact, I know most of you startups would have experienced this. In the first few years of a startup's journey, the most difficult thing is to hire people. That is the most difficult thing. You will be a railway platform. People who don't get a job will come and join you. As soon as they get a job, they will leave you. You will be a railway platform for a long time, and the people who join you and stay with you would do it only on the basis of your own reputation. If they believe in your brand as a founder, they will stick around. If they see you as somebody who has vision, who has passion, who has the ability to carry the startup through the distance, then they will stick around, because people have this misconceived notion of stability in a job. No job is stable. You'll be sacked in any job. Whether the company is a 5,000 crore company or a 5 crore company, if the leadership team doesn't like you, you can get sacked. But if you're a 5 crore company, then people believe that their chances of getting sacked is higher, which is funny and stupid. It's not. But that's how they feel. And here, your personal brand will carry you through. And that brings me to the fourth point, building your employer brand. You have to be having a reason for people to join you. Now, that reason is not your logo, because your logo is unrecognizable at that point in time. So what is that reason for you, for which people will join you? That's something that you need to think about and propagate and market that reason as much as possible. I tell startup founders that, look, unless you are a Google or a Amazon or a Wipro or a Infosys or a TCS, where you can write a bad job description and still hire people, because they've already decided to interview as soon as they saw the logo on the JD, right? But all other JDs are marketing documents. If you're writing a job description, stop thinking of it as a KRA document. Don't write KRAs in your JD. Write your marketing story. Talk to people about why you exist. Talk to people about what is in it for them. Most job descriptions are written from the perspective of what I want from you. Right? That's how you need to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. But nobody cares. What they care about is what's the culture of the place, what's the vision of the organization, what set of values they run, why are they likely to build a better career for me than a Google or anybody else? And hence, why should I join them? So, job description, get your marketing guys to write it. I'm a HR guy, but I'm telling you, your job description must be written by the marketing guys, supported by the HR guys. So the HR guys can help say, this is the culture I want to build, these are the values I want to propagate, but get the marketing to write the job descriptions. So that's the fourth point. The last point I want to drive before I finish this, because I know this, we started late and we've gone through the day. I believe, and if you are early stage startup founders here, you've just started. I started 7 years back. I paid myself my first salary in the 4th year, April 2018. Okay, so 3 years without salaries. I started in 2015, 1st of January, and 2018, 1st of April is when I paid myself my first salary. Running a startup is like reproduction in reverse. The labor pains happen first, they last a long, long time. The orgasm, if any, happens last. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
So that's why we all are sitting here, because networking is important, as stated by Sir. So ladies and gentlemen, now moving ahead, and it's time to call upon Mr. Himanshu Gulati, co-founder and head of operations, Bharat Claims. And ladies and gentlemen, Bharat Claims, Startup Story and B2B Connect is powered by Bharat Claims. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Himanshu Gulati, and thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bharat Claims, for trusting our brand.
Thank you, Manish. Actually, my wife wanted me to spend that Sunday evening with her for a shopping, but I came here because I knew that networking is an opportunity. Thank you, Animesh, for calling me here. So after spending 10 years in insurance, I and Hitesh Sani, my co-founder, we realized that insurance which people are buying is already not insured by insurance companies. People don't know whether they don't have assurance whether they will get the claim at the time of need or not. So when we used to sell insurance, we used to assure people that you will get the claim at the time of need. But people are not, being a layman, people are not assured about that. Then we came across a category where people are already insured by government policies, LPG companies, bank against their debit cards, and people are not aware about the insurance policies they are carrying. More than 50 crore people in India have insurance who don't know that they have actually insurance by the different parties. So as a Bharat Claims, we wanted to serve that category, but we did not know how to turn that category, turn that serving into a revenue model. After a lot of research, we found two models where one, we could ask them to pay us commission against the amount which we are helping them to get from the insurance companies, which is not ethical, we found. Then we had an option to actually ask them to be with us by paying less than 1 rupees per day. And in case of any mishappening in future, we can help them to get the rightful amount. So we opted the second category and we started disrupting our product in the market, and we found there is a need. People need someone, laymen need someone who can help them in getting the amount at time of need. In India, we have more than 70 crore people who are insured. So being a Bharat Claim, we can be in every Indian mobile. We can be with every Indian who is actually carrying insurance knowingly or unknowingly. In a B2B model, we had a product where we can ask corporates to take a product for their employees by paying less than 3 rupees per employee per month. We founded that product. We actually discovered the product. We started doing research by meeting corporates, and we found that is also successful. People need that. Then we realized wherever people want to claim insurance, for example, hospitals, they actually need assistance because they are not getting assistance by insurance companies. Insurance companies are not helping them to get the claim. Insurance companies are only giving support to the brokers which are selling the policies in the market. So we started helping hospitals by developing a technology which helped them to get the rightful amount for the patients who are coming to the hospitals. So we have three segments we have developed where a retail customer can buy a product, a corporate can buy a product, and a hospital can buy a product. We are working on different technologies to serve customers in motor claims and marine claims also. And we want to be the #1 company in the India. We are the only one company who is actually working the technology, which can help Indians to get their rightful amount in every manner by not asking for any commission for any part against the amount they get. The technologies which are built actually decode policies for a layman. The 100 pages policies which you get, you can't actually understand the policy without meeting a lawyer or without meeting a professional. So we have developed technology where you can come with your policy within few seconds by uploading the policy in a mobile application or the website or web-based application. You can get the policy in a single page, in a 13 languages we have launched actually. In your own region language, you can decode the terms of the 800 pages typical policies. This is all we have developed. We have done our research that we have a huge market in India who actually need the product. People are buying insurance to actually insure their families, but after their death or when they are not in a position to claim, they don't have anyone to help them. So we have developed, we are successful in disrupting the product, and we are doing that. About the growth, if I say, we have done a research and we have found that in tier 2, tier 3 cities, we have a 90% of the customers who are residing. Because people who are buying insurance by insurance companies, they know the insurance. They can take help from the professionals. But category which is residing in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, they don't have any option to get help. That's where we are focusing and we are helping people to get the amount. About the technology, we have already sold 100 licenses to hospitals to use our software to decode the policies and help people to get the rightful amount for the patients coming there. And by using a technology, they are increasing their revenues, they are increasing their footfalls. So that's all about Bharat Claims. We are helping people to get the rightful amount by decoding their policies, and we know every Indian in a few years, in coming years, will have Bharat Claim application, Bharat Claim support to have their insurance claims. That's all. Thank you so much. I wanted to keep it short because we are running out of time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Himanshu Gulati. And soon I'm going to be one of your customers. One of my cars got stolen 6 months back and I'm still waiting for the claim. Anyways, thank you so much, Mr. Himanshu, for the insights, and thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, sometimes what happens is that there is a huge problem in front of us, but we are unable to find the solution of it. And sometimes the solution is right in front of us. So ladies and gentlemen, to provide us some insights on the same, I'd like to call Mr. Deepan Sahu, who is the Assistant Innovation Director, Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell, and All India Council for Technical Education, Government of India. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Deepan Sahu.
Thank you, Manish. So good evening to all. And Manish, I like your energy. So because of you, actually, I'm still feeling that, okay, my audience are full behind me. Thank you, Startup Story, Animes and Anil, for designing this program. And no doubt in every program there is some things that plus and minus. But as an entrepreneur, we have to move on. We have to think where we did mistake and how we will improve it. And that is a part and parcel of life because we experience it. Every entrepreneur, every innovator experience this. And the failure is the only where we learn. So no, you will not find any single example where an entrepreneur got success in the first stroke. It never happens. Everywhere we have to go through the process and cycle of the learning, failure, and we have to wake up and we have to fight and we have to success. That is the only way entrepreneurs survive and thrive. So take it granted, so take it in that sense, and definitely in the next sense you will make it better. Anil, this is a message to you and Animes. And I project myself as a policy entrepreneur, and I'm with the Ministry of Education since 2017, and I'm playing the lead role and playing instrumental in designing many policies for, especially for higher educational institutions and the schools. And our mission and the goal is to make all higher educational institutions and the students and the faculty members and triggering their creative minds to become an innovator and entrepreneur. And I'm definitely not going to talk much about what I'm doing, but I will talk something different so that you all feel so relevant or relate to that. Uh, in the last 2.5 hours, so many power pack sessions and so many frameworks for 3E, 4P, SAS, then planning, execution, celebration the same day, and I think so many so forth. So I'm not going to lie, I hope you have noted down. But what is the common? Have you identified the common things? Let me help you. The common is the storytelling. The story. Everybody, either they tried to tell a story or they highlighted you have to build a story. So this storytelling and the story is an art, and it is so important and the powerful tool, especially for the startups where you are dealing with lots of uncertainties and also you have operating in a very resource scanty environment. So this is a very, very effective and powerful tool, and every founder, every member, those are willing to pursue this entrepreneurship or innovative career, they should know the storytelling. And I think that will help you to things. And what is ultimately we want to achieve? The leadership, we have to lead as an entrepreneur or innovator, and we have to influence, and you have to build the network. I think these 3 core strategies actually help and keep that individuals, these entrepreneur individuals, motive and go on. And that's way we are building a vibrant ecosystem in our country. Now our country is positioned third largest in the world. And let me give you a figure. India has more than 55,000 higher educational institutions. 55,000 higher educational institutions. Those are offering undergraduate, diploma and above courses, and more than 4.5 crores of students are part of it. Do you know how many institutions, how many students are actually understand this innovation and entrepreneurship and they do something during this study? It is less than 1%. Less than 1%. Only hardly 3,000 to 4,000 institutions. And we built this in last 3.5-4 years. And Aditya, you mentioned rightly, in the last 3 to 4 years, the kind of noise, the kind of things we created on innovation, and because of the policies, we are trying to create this noise at the ground, at the source, us attacking at the source, at the institute level. Then these students will actually not spend much time in job and then realizing they discovering the dream and then getting into the again entrepreneurship career. We can shorten this period by providing all kind of things so that they will fail fast and they will start the business. So fail fast is the technique, golden rule of the startup success, and what we are trying to inculcate this among our youths. Coming to the if I think most of you have the innovation, right? Because you are in the startup means you understand the innovation, and innovation is the key. So if you have these basic things, then the first thing is that you have to first put yourself in which metrics of the innovation you are or you are catering. If you are not still measured, you have not still benchmarked, I think you have done mistake. I think that should be the first point. And let me tell you what is the innovation metrics in a very simpler way. So consider if this is your product or the services, and first you have to say this product or service is incremental or the radical. First you have to identify, first you have to convince yourself, are you doing an incremental innovation or a radical innovation? Once you have division of these things, then you have to tell that if this product or service will comes to the market, you will introduce to the market, is it going to disrupt the market or it is going to sustain in the market along with other competitors, the product from the other competitors? Then you have to put these 4 things, radical and incremental, into one axis and the sustaining and disruption into another axis. Then you will find 4 quadrants. So 80% of the startups in whole world are falling into incrementally sustaining. That means they are incremental innovation and they're sustaining the market. They're not doing much wonder. So if you are falling into this quadrant, I think you have to think very, very intensively, very, very deeply. But only 2% of startups, those are falling the other extreme, that is called radically and disruptive. That is a SpaceX kind of company. They are into a disruption and also they are into a radical innovation. And remain 20%, they're falling in between this radically incremental kind of things, these things. So try to either not to be in the part of the incrementally sustaining. Never try. If you are in incremental sustaining, that means you are not much innovative, your service is not much innovative, you are not going to achieve the scale in long term, and definitely you will get the competitors and definitely you will get out of market. So these things first you have to map that where your innovation, where your business model is falling. It is for the early stage startups. Then once you have this, then actually you have to overcome the innovator's dilemma. What is the innovator's dilemma? Says that when you are coming with disruption or some innovation, then actually in the early stage you will not have the refined product, and you will not get good customer. During that time, if you will not go through sales through this difficult period, then it is high chance you will get out of, you will stop your business, you will get disappointed, you will get kind of a you will leave the business. So you should not drop here. You should sustain, you should think, you should put your effort, and then you have to overcome through this difficult period. Then only your percent for related to the core activity, then another 10% for new innovations. And this is applicable when your startup reached to a expansion stage. But at the early stage, you have to focus 100% on your innovation and core activities and adjacent activities you have to start building. So after that, your aim should be 0, 0, 100, then you have to reach to the at least 80, 20, 0. 80, 20, 0 means once your innovation is developed, don't think for another innovation. First, you have to focus on building the business on and around that innovation. So again, you have to shift your strategy from innovation to business model. That is 80% you have to develop the business, 20% is related services to enhance the quality of that business. Then you don't do any innovation for timing. Once this is established, then you focus on another innovation. This is the actual mistakes majority of the startups there. What they're doing, once they develop innovation, they jump to another innovation. And again, they jump to the another innovation without doing much groundwork for commercializing that innovation. There is actually mistakes, and I hope all the early startups will take all these points, also the what are the frameworks and the tips and all kind of lessons given by our young entrepreneurs like Aditya, Ayush, Santosh, Subhranshu. So there are so many things. Actually, really, it helped me to validate my ideas. And I liked Aditya, that is micro VC. I will love to learn more about what is micro VC and how it different from angel and the VC. So definitely, I will get some more information from you. So thank you all. And I hope I'm the last or still there. Oh my God. So thank you.
That was Mr. Deepan Sahu, ladies and gentlemen, for you. Now, moving ahead, so ladies and gentlemen, finance is the major part of any startup because it's the backbone of all our companies. To explain us more about the finances and risk management for startup and investors, I would like to call upon the stage Mr. Pankaj Manijha, the President, CQFI Fitch Group, Delhi Zone Society of the world's largest and prestigious quant finance community by Wilmot. He has more than a decade of quality practical and research experience in the domain of portfolio management, trading, investment, risk management, quantitative finance, financial engineering, equity, derivatives, data analysis, financial analysis, training, along with some of the world's reputed and top names globally. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Pankaj.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all of you. First of all, thank you to Animesh that he has provided me an opportunity to talk about these things. I've heard all these speakers, Aditya, Mr. Deepan, and so many people, and they were outstanding. So let me tell you about myself. I basically head this Global Quant Finance Society Delhi India chapter. It's North India chapter. It is world's largest and most prestigious quantitative finance and risk management society. I also head this Global Association of Risk Professionals, Delhi, India chapter, and I am the managing director at Real World Risk. And I worked with and collaborated with some of the top names globally in the field of risk management and finance. So I'll be talking about, I think most of you would have heard Nassim Taleb. Nassim Taleb is one of the most influential global thinker on risk management. Nassim Taleb and Stephen Hawking. So I am one of the co-author and collaborator with him. So let me talk about that how risk management, which is very crucial for any startup or investor, is should be done and how we should analyze it. So Mr. Deepan has talked about some of the things, and I would like to more formalize it, how the things happen. So let me tell you that in this world, we must appreciate that there is randomness. We are living in a world where there is a lot of uncertainty, model errors, randomness, negative factors all around us. And then we have to survive and we have to grow. And the reason why most of the startups fail, they are not, or even investors, because I basically advise some of the top names even in India. I worked with the former president of Indian Private Equity and Venture Capital Association, some of the best hedge funds in India. And what I found, that risk management is of utmost importance. You have to appreciate randomness. And this is the reason that why most of the startups fail. So how to go about it? See, probabilistically there are two worlds. One is mediocristan and another is extremistan. Most of the startups will fall in mediocristan thing. They will try to venture into highly predictive things, but their payoff is very less. But if you look at the outstanding outlier startups like Google, Uber, they have worked in highly unpredictable kind of environment. So few principles that I would like to share with all of you, that you should analyze that whether your entrepreneurship venture is falling into that or not. So first of all, from risk management point of view, try to establish your entrepreneurial venture into an extremistan framework, where you take risk for some things which can have outstanding payoff, but very limited loss. So, and this is very, very much important for even investors. So you maintain a convex environment. In convex environment, what you do, that don't try to predict the very remote things. Rather than try to take random bets. Try to take random bets, but in every bet, you have to keep your cost of mistake very low. That is the first thing you have to do. Then, be redundant. That means you should have multiple source of diversification or multiple source where if one fails, you can implement other one. That is very, very important for startup and investors both. I'm telling you based on my experiences where I've worked with some of the global investors and global risk management people in the startups. Then comes, you have to manage chaos and volatility. You know, there is a concept of black swan, that black swan are events that come unpredictably, but when they come, it can totally devastate you. And if you look at the COVID scenario, COVID is a kind of black swan event. It's not exactly black swan event, but it's a relative. And you know, many of the industries were bankrupted by this COVID in a black swan scenario. But at the same time, many of the companies really made good money. That means there is a term, you remember, you have to be anti-fragile. What is anti-fragile? Means that your entrepreneurship venture, your startup or your investment portfolio should not be devastated if something black swan event come into picture, because they can come unpredictably. And if you can survive that, then definitely you will grow over the time. So that's first principle you have to establish, that you have to analyze that whether your startup or investing portfolio is prone to black swan events or not. Because that's why most of the startups fail and even most of the investors fail. So when I talk with investors, I revise some of the India's renowned hedge funds. And what I have found that people, what they do, they are scared by volatility in the market. But those who are really successful, they are friend with volatility. So you have to maintain a financial structure, an anti-fragile financial structure, where if with the limited loss and if something of that kind come, your payoff can be maximum in the positive way. So for that, and one of the major source of fragility is debt. Don't try to be heavily dependent on debt factor, because if you are debt, if you have large amount of debt, if black swan comes, you will be devastated. So better try to bootstrap it or find out equity investors. And one of the things, at last, I would like to tell you that, see, startups are meant to solve some of the problems. So you must analyze that what problem your startup is actually solving. If you think it's disruptive, it's highly unpredictable, but it has huge payoff probability. I think if there is a scope for huge payoff, even if it has a higher probability of failure, you should do it. But in every random bet, you have to limit your downside, because if you are able to limit your downside, you will survive. And if you are survive, which is the biggest challenge for any startup, you will definitely grow over the time. So I would like to, you can interact with me on risk management or any kind of thing, because I provide risk management consultancy to some of the well-known institutions, even Big Four, and all those are my clients. So that's what I try to convey to all my fellow investors and startups. And thanks again to all of you for listening carefully. So thank you, Anish.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Pankaj. And this is from the stage, but before we move on to the networking session, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call upon Animesh Shukla. So put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Animesh Shukla.
Thank you. First of all, I'm really filled with joy that with all your support and each one sitting off your with all the brands, all the founders listed here, we are able to pull off this event. And pulling off physical event now, I understood is a very hard thing. And it took a lot of effort. Definitely, there was some ups and downs that would be definitely moving forward to, correct. That's what entrepreneurship is all about. Curating your profile, filling the loopholes, and moving forward with all the power. And with all the faces, I learned a lot of things. We partnered with this event. We got an opportunity to partner with various brands. I would sincerely like to thank the brands who trusted us. App Ceiling, Design Construct, Bharat Claims, Spacia, Loan in Touch, Fard Ventures, each and every one, every brand present here is a great thing to trust on someone when there is nothing to trust on, right? I mean, you trusted on us when we had a fizz. If someone comes to us and aap kya karoge, so we don't know hum kya karenge, and that point of time, people trusted us. It's really a heartwarming thing for Startup Story and Startup Story team. Finally, I would like to thank Anil sir, and who's always been a backbone of Startup Story. He always plays, a very strong, back role in terms of managing all the branches. And I really want to just give a humongous applause to you to managing things. To my team, who are working from 2 to 3 days, they are working hard. They are working very hard. And it's really a great pleasure to work with you guys. And finally, with all the partners, with all the supporters, all the educators who came here and gave their insights, learned a lot. It's a great session. With this, I want to inform you all, we are coming up with a second edition of Startup Story B2B Connect, held in Bangalore in next down the lane 2 to 3 months. It would be more massive, more more big, and we'll be learning hard from the things that we did today. This is all as of now, would be not taking much time. We are open with snacks. You might be having a few questions to discuss with each other. We'll be moving on to that. We also had a small recognition session that we'll be having at the Dropbox due to less amount of time that we have. So a huge round of applause for everyone who supported and be here for the night. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anish, and thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And this is it from my side, Manish Sharma, your host of the evening.